The gunshot echoed across the Seoul skyline like a promise broken. Kang Jae-Hyun didn't flinch as the body crumpled at his feet, blood pooling dark against the rooftop's marble tiles. The city sprawled below him, a glittering tapestry of lights and lies, indifferent to the violence unfolding in its heights. His men stood at attention, faces carved from stone, weapons holstered but ready. "Clean this up," Kang said, his voice devoid of emotion. He adjusted his cufflinks platinum, engraved with his family crest, and turned away from the corpse. The traitor had begged, of course. They always did, pleaded for mercy, for one more chance for his family. But Kang had learned long ago that mercy was a luxury only fools could afford. "The operation proceeds as planned," he continued, addressing his second-in-command, a scarred man named Jin-ho. "No more leaks, no more mistakes." Jin-ho nodded sharply. "Understood, boss." Kang's phone vibrated in his pocket. He pulled it out, expecting confirmation from his contacts in Singapore or perhaps Tokyo. Instead, the message made his blood run cold, not with fear but with something far more dangerous: recognition. "She is getting married today." No signature, no explanation, but Kang knew exactly who it meant. His jaw tightened, the only outward sign of the storm brewing beneath his controlled exterior. He checked his watch. If he moved now, if he took the jet, if everything aligned perfectly. "Change of plans," he said, striding toward the elevator. "Prepare the plane, we're going to Lagos." 7,000 miles away, Amara Okafor stood before a floor-length mirror, her reflection shimmering in layers of white lace and silk. The wedding dress had cost more than most people earned in a year, custom designed in Paris, fitted to perfection. Diamonds caught the light at her throat and wrists, gifts from Daniel's family. Everything was perfect. Everything was exactly as it should be. So why did she feel like she was drowning? "You look like a goddess," her sister whispered, tears already gathering in her eyes. "Daniel is so lucky." Amara smiled, the expression practiced and hollow. Outside, she could hear the cathedral filling with guests, politicians, business moguls, celebrities. The wedding of the season, they called it, a union of two powerful families. Love had been mentioned in the press releases, but Amara couldn't remember the last time Daniel had looked at her with anything resembling affection. The cathedral was magnificent, all soaring ceilings and stained glass that painted the crowd in jeweled colors. Amara walked down the aisle on her father's arm, each step carrying her closer to a future she'd stopped imagining months ago. Daniel waited at the altar, impossibly handsome in his tailored suit, his smile bright and empty as a mannequin's. When she reached him, he took her hand. His palm was cold. The priest began the ceremony, his voice resonating through the sacred space. Amara tried to focus on the words, on the gravity of the vows she was about to take, but her mind kept drifting. Something was wrong. She could feel it in the tension of Daniel's grip, in the way his eyes kept darting to his phone, in the almost imperceptible tremor in his jaw. "Do you, Daniel Hart, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Daniel's phone vibrated. Amara felt it against her hand. His entire body went rigid. Then he exploded. "No," he snarled, ripping his hand from hers with such violence she stumbled backward. "No, I don't." The cathedral erupted in gasps and whispers. Amara stood frozen, unable to process what was happening as Daniel grabbed her hand again, not gently this time, but with brutal force, and yanked the engagement ring from her finger. "Did you really think I loved you?" His voice carried to every corner of the church, amplified by the acoustics, by the silence of 500 shocked witnesses. "You were a transaction, Amara, a fucking business deal, but you couldn't even get that right, could you?" Tears blurred her vision. Her father lunged forward, but Daniel's security held him back. Cameras flashed. Paparazzi had somehow infiltrated the ceremony. This humiliation would be broadcast worldwide within minutes. "Daniel, please," Amara's voice broke. "You're a liar," he spat. You and your entire family. Did you think I wouldn't find out, that I wouldn't discover what you've been hiding?" Amara had no idea what he was talking about. The accusation was as bewildering as it was devastating. She opened her mouth to defend herself, to demand an explanation, to scream. "If he will not marry her," a deep voice cut through the chaos like a blade through silk, "I will." Every head turned. The cathedral doors stood open, framing a figure backlit by the Lagos sun. Kang Jae-Hyun stepped inside, flanked by men in dark suits, their movements synchronized and deadly. He walked down the aisle with the unhurried confidence of a predator, his presence commanding absolute attention. The crowd parted before him, instinct recognizing danger even when reason could not. Amara had never seen him before. She would have remembered. He was beautiful in a way that transcended conventional attractiveness, sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that seemed to see through everything, an aura of barely contained violence wrapped in $1,000 suit. He stopped at the altar, his gaze sweeping over Daniel with open contempt before settling on Amara. When he looked at her, something shifted in his expression, something almost gentle. "You don't belong to him," Kang said quietly, speaking only to her despite the hundreds watching. "You never did." Daniel found his voice. "Who the fuck do you think you are?" Kang didn't acknowledge him. Instead, he reached into his jacket, Daniel's security tensed, hands moving to weapons, and produced a document. He unfolded it with deliberate care and handed it to the priest. "A marriage license," the priest stammered, scanning the paper. "Already signed and legally binding in multiple jurisdictions. I don't understand." "Simple," Kang said. "I'm offering this woman a choice her coward of a fiancé just stole from her. She can walk away from this circus with her dignity intact, or she can marry me. Right now. Right here." The cathedral exploded in shouting. Daniel lunged for Kang, but bodyguards intercepted him effortlessly, slamming him against a pew. Amara's family was screaming. Guests were fleeing or pulling out phones to record everything. And Amara stood at the center of it all, her world imploding, staring at this beautiful, dangerous stranger who had just offered her the most insane proposal imaginable. Kang leaned closer, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "Daniel Hart isn't just cruel, Amara. He's dangerous. He's in debt to people who will hurt you to get to him, but more importantly," his eyes held hers, "he never deserved you." "I don't even know you," Amara whispered. "No." Kang agreed. "But you know him. And you know what happens if you walk out of here humiliated, broken, your family's reputation destroyed. I'm offering you power instead of pity, protection instead of shame." "You're insane." The corner of his mouth quirked, frequently. Daniel's voice rang out, high and desperate. "You don't know who he is, Amara. He's not some knight in shining armor. He's a fucking criminal, a killer." Kang didn't deny it. Amara looked at Daniel, at the man she'd planned to spend her life with, and saw only a stranger consumed by panic and malice. Then she looked at Kang, another stranger admittedly, but one who was looking at her like she mattered. If you're enjoying this story, pause for a second. Drop a comment and subscribe, because what happens next will change everything. She placed her hand in Kang's. The priest looked like he might faint, but Kang's bodyguard stepped forward with enough quiet menace that the ceremony continued. The words blurred together. Amara heard herself repeat vows she'd memorized for a different groom. Kang's responses were steady, his eyes never leaving hers. When the priest declared them married, Kang lifted her hand to his lips. The kiss was brief, almost chivalrous, but the touch sent electricity racing up her arm. "I will destroy you both," Daniel screamed as they walked back down the aisle. "I swear to God, I will make you pay for this." Kang smiled faintly. "Get in line." The penthouse occupied the top 3 floors of Lagos's most exclusive building. Amara emerged from the private elevator into a space that defied description. Art that belonged in museums, furniture that belonged in palaces, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a view of the city sprawling to the horizon. "Welcome home, Mrs. Kang," an older woman said, bowing slightly. She was elegant, severe, with gray-streaked hair and calculating eyes. "I am Madam CEO. I manage the household." "Mrs. Kang," the title sent a shiver through Amara. She faltered, "I need to understand what just happened." "Of course," Kang said from behind her. He'd shed his jacket, loosened his tie. Somehow this made him more intimidating, not less. "Madam CEO, give us privacy." The woman vanished like smoke. Kang poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter. He didn't offer Amara one, which irritated her more than it should have. "You have questions, ask them." "Who are you?" "Kang Jae-Hyun, billionaire, entrepreneur, investor." He paused. "And other things." "Criminal things?" "Sometimes." He sipped his whiskey. "But I prefer to think of it as operating in gray areas where conventional law becomes inconvenient." Amara's legs felt weak. She sank onto a white leather sofa. "Why did you do this? Why marry me?" "Because Daniel Hart is a dead man walking, and he was going to drag you down with him." "What?" Kang set down his glass and approached her. He moved like water, fluid and inevitable. "Daniel owes $17 million to very bad people, people I do business with. When he couldn't pay, he offered them something else." His eyes hardened. Your family's connections, your father's political influence. He sold you, Amara, to cover his gambling debts." The words hit like physical blows. Amara shook her head, denial automatic. "No, that's not. He wouldn't." "He did." Kang pulled out his phone, tapped the screen and handed it to her. "Read." The messages were damning. Daniel negotiating her like property, promising access to her father's government contracts, to her family's diamond mines. The dates went back months, back to when he'd first proposed. Amara's hands trembled so badly she nearly dropped the phone. "He never loved me." "No. It was all a lie." "Yes." She looked up at Kang through tears. "And you, what do you want from me?" Something flickered in his expression, pain maybe or recognition. "Right now, I want you safe, the rest." He crouched before her, bringing himself to her eye level. "The rest we'll figure out." Amara wanted to scream, wanted to cry, wanted to run. Instead, she stood on shaking legs and said, "I need to see the rest of this place." She explored the penthouse in a daze, opening doors at random. A library, a gym, a room filled with server equipment she didn't understand. And then, behind a door that looked like all the others, she found it. The room was lined with weapons, guns of every variety, knives, equipment she couldn't identify. Monitors covered one wall, displaying security feeds from what looked like a dozen different cities. A map dominated another wall, marked with pins and notes in Korean and English. Kang appeared in the doorway. "I told you, I operate in gray areas." "This is more than gray," Amara said, her voice hollow. You're running something big." "I protect my interests, I eliminate threats." He stepped into the room. "I'm not a good man, Amara, I won't pretend to be, but I am a man who keeps his word, and I swore to protect you." "Why?" The question hung between them. Kang was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "Because 5 years ago someone should have protected my sister. No one did. She married a man who seemed perfect, who destroyed her piece by piece until there was nothing left. I found her too late." His jaw clenched. "I won't be too late again." Amara's breath caught. Beneath the danger and the violence, she saw grief, saw the kind of pain that rewrites a person from the inside out. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be sorry, be smart, be careful, and trust me when I tell you that what happens next will be dangerous." The media storm hit within hours. Amara's phone, Kang had given her a new one, untraceable, exploded with notifications. Her social media accounts were flooded. Every news outlet in 3 continents was running the story. Nigerian heiress abandons billionaire fiancé, 4 mysterious Korean stranger at the altar. Wedding scandal rocks 2 CONTNTS. Who is Kang Jae-Hyun? Kang's PR team, led by an American named Lucas Vale with a shark smile and a publicist's silver tongue, was already managing the narrative. They spun it as romance, as drama, as a love story for the ages. The truth, debt, danger, desperation, stayed buried. Amara's family arrived en masse the next morning. Her father, a senator with more power than mercy, looked ready to kill. Her mother wept. Her siblings demanded explanations. "You've destroyed our family's reputation," her father thundered. "Married some criminal foreigner without our permission." "Daniel sold me," Amara interrupted quietly. The room went silent. "He was going to use me to pay off gambling debts. Kang saved me from that." She showed them the messages, watched the blood drain from her father's face as he read his would-be son-in-law's betrayal. "We will handle Daniel," her father said finally, his voice ice. "As for your husband," he looked at Kang, who had remained silent throughout. A specter of controlled violence in the corner. "You protect my daughter, or I will destroy you." Kang met his gaze without flinching. Understood. After they left, Amara collapsed. The adrenaline that had sustained her through the confrontation evaporated, leaving her hollow and shaking. Kang caught her before she hit the floor, lifting her easily and carrying her to her bedroom. "Rest," he said, lowering her onto the bed. "You've been through hell." "Why are you being kind to me?" she asked, the question escaping before she could stop it. Kang paused in the doorway. "Because you deserve kindness and because—" He didn't finish the sentence, just left, closing the door softly behind him. That night, Amara woke to find unfamiliar men watching the building from across the street. She saw them on the monitors Kang had installed in her room. At her insistence, he'd given her access to the security systems. She called him immediately. He appeared in minutes, weapon in hand. "Get dressed, we're moving you." "Who are they?" "Daniel's new friends, or his creditors. Does it matter?" He was already on his phone, barking orders in Korean. "They're testing my defenses, seeing how serious I am about protecting you." "And how serious are you?" Kang looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw an answer that needed no words. He would kill for her, had probably already arranged for these watchers to disappear. "Very," he said simply. The weeks that followed were a study in contrasts. By day, Amara learned to navigate her new life, meetings with Kang's business associates, carefully orchestrated public appearances to sell their sudden marriage, dinners where she smiled and played the role of devoted wife. By night, she discovered the truth of the man she'd married. He worked until 3 in the morning most nights, managing empires legal and otherwise. She'd wake to find him on the balcony, staring at the city, and she'd bring him coffee without speaking. These quiet moments became precious, sacred almost. One night she found him in his study, blood on his knuckles. He'd been in a fight. She'd learned not to ask for details. Instead, she brought the first aid kit and began cleaning his wounds without permission. "You should be afraid of me," Kang said quietly as she worked. "I know. I've killed people, Amara, more than I can count. I've done things that would give you nightmares." She met his eyes. "We all have blood on our hands. Some of it just shows more than others." Something shifted between them that night. A wall crumbling. He told her about his childhood, a father murdered by rivals, a mother who died of grief, a sister he'd failed to save. How he'd built his empire from ash and rage, how violence became his language because it was the only one his world understood. And Amara found herself sharing her own secrets. The pressure of being a politician's daughter, the expectation to be perfect, untouchable. How Daniel had seemed like an escape only to become another cage. "I'm falling for you," she whispered one night when he kissed her goodnight, chaste kisses always, respecting the boundary between their arranged marriage and something real. "I know I shouldn't. I know it's insane, but I am." Kang's hand trembled against her cheek. "Amara, don't tell me not to. Don't tell me it's dangerous. I already know." "It is dangerous," he said roughly. "Loving me will destroy you." "Then let it." She pulled him closer. "I'd rather burn with you than freeze without you." Their first real kiss tasted like whiskey and desperation, like coming home and leaping off a cliff simultaneously. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Kang rested his forehead against hers. "I'm trying to be good for you," he murmured, "trying to be the man you deserve." "You already are." Daniel returned exactly 6 weeks after the wedding. He came with lawyers, with accusations, with evidence he claimed would expose Kang as a criminal. He went to the media, to authorities, painting himself as a victim. But his biggest mistake was underestimating both Kang's resources and Amara's rage. The final blow came when he kidnapped Amara's younger sister. The message was simple: trade yourself for her, come alone. Amara was halfway to the door when Kang stopped her. "No. He has my sister. And he's using her to get to you, to get to me." Kang's expression was carved from ice. "This is what he does, Amara. He takes what matters and uses it as leverage. I can't let her die." "She won't." He pulled out his phone, and suddenly the penthouse filled with armed men. But Daniel will wish he had. The rescue happened at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, cliché but effective. Kang led the assault personally, moving through shadows with terrifying efficiency. Amara watched on monitors as her husband became something else entirely, a weapon, a force of nature. He found her sister bound in a back room, guarded by 3 of Daniel's hired thugs. They didn't stand a chance. But Daniel had one final card to play. As Kang's men extracted Amara's sister, rival mafia boss Park Min-kwon, the man Daniel owed money to, arrived with his own small army. "You've been interfering with my business, Kang," Park said, his Korean accent thick even in English. "Taking what belongs to me, protecting someone who should be mine." "Amara belongs to no one but herself," Kang replied calmly, despite being outnumbered 3-1. "How romantic," Park smiled. "Kill him." The gunfight erupted like thunder. Amara screamed into the monitor as she watched Kang dive behind cover, returning fire with surgical precision. His men fell. Park's men fell. The warehouse became a war zone. Then Kang stumbled. Blood bloomed across his white shirt. He'd been shot. "No," Amara breathed. She was running before conscious thought caught up, grabbing keys, weapons, anything. Madame Seo tried to stop her, but Amara had learned a few things about being married to a dangerous man. She arrived as Park stood over Kang, gun pointed at his head, and something inside Amara snapped. She'd spent her whole life being decorative, diplomatic, soft, but she was a senator's daughter, raised in a country where survival meant evolution, and she had married a man who taught her that power came in many forms. "Park Min-kwon," she called out, her voice ringing clear. "You want me? Here I am." Both men turned. Park smiled. Kang's expression twisted with horror and pride. "Amara, no." "Shut up." She walked toward Park with her hands raised. "I'm worth more to you alive than he is dead. You know it, so let's negotiate." What followed was the most terrifying 10 minutes of Amara's life. She bargained with a monster, using every political skill her father had inadvertently taught her. She offered Park connections, money, access to legitimate businesses that could launder his operations. She spoke his language, not violence but profit. And slowly, impossibly, she won. Park lowered his gun. "You're wasted on him," he told Kang. "This one's got teeth." "I know," Kang said, pride evident despite his injury. The standoff ended not with more bloodshed but with a contract. Park got his money, paid by Kang, negotiated by Amara. Daniel, cowering in a corner, was handed over to authorities on a dozen charges Kang's people had been documenting for weeks. As dawn broke, Amara sat in a hospital waiting room while surgeons worked to save her husband's life. Her sister sat beside her, shaking but alive. Her hands were still covered in Kang's blood. "You love him," her sister whispered. "Yes. Even though he's dangerous. Because he's dangerous, because he's real, because when I'm with him, I'm real too." Amara wiped her eyes. "I'm not that scared girl in a wedding dress anymore. He showed me I could be more." Hours later, the surgeon emerged. "He'll live, he's asking for you." Kang looked small in the hospital bed, a trick of perspective surely, because men like him could never be small. But his eyes found her immediately, and something in his expression crumbled. "I'm sorry," he said hoarsely. "I almost got you killed." "You got me saved," Amara corrected, taking his hand. "In more ways than one." "I love you." The words escaped him like a confession. "I've loved you since the moment you put your hand in mine in that church. You were the bravest thing I'd ever seen." Amara kissed him, tasting salt and antiseptic and something that felt suspiciously like hope. "I love you too. And when you get out of here, we're going to have a serious conversation about the risks you take. I thought you liked dangerous men. I like you, there's a difference." 1 year later, they stood on the balcony of their Seoul penthouse. They split their time between cities now, between worlds. Below them, the city glittered like the stars had fallen to earth. Kang knelt, not as a mafia boss, not as a billionaire, but as a man trembling before the woman he loved. "We're already married," Amara said, laughing through sudden tears. "Not properly, not as a choice." He opened a velvet box. The ring inside was simple, elegant, nothing like the ostentatious diamond Daniel had given her. "This time, choose me freely. Choose this life, this danger, this love. Choose us." Amara pulled him to his feet and kissed him until they were both breathless. "I already did. I chose you the moment you walked into that cathedral. I chose you every day since, and I'll choose you every day for the rest of my life." As they stood wrapped in each other, Kang's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression hardened. "New threat detected, level critical." He showed Amara the message. She read it, then smiled, not with fear, but with the fierce joy of a woman who'd learned that love and danger were sometimes the same thing. "Then I guess our war is only beginning," she said. Kang kissed her again. "We'll face it together." If you want the next chapter of Amara and Kang's dangerous love story, like, comment, and subscribe, because their war is only beginning.